Shadow Slave, Chapter 74, Midnight Shard. Sunny's heart skipped a beat. In that instant, he forgot all about the Azure Blade. Sure, it had some sentimental value, but come on, who cared about that now? It had come from a Carapace scavenger, which was already quite a catch for someone of his current rank. Not many sleepers had access to Awakened-grade weapons, but this new memory came from an awakened demon, a real one, that instantly placed it in the third tier of awakened memories, 2 full tiers above the Azure Blade. There were 7 tiers in total, aligning with the classifications of nightmare creatures, from the lowest, beasts, all the way up to titans. While tier didn't always determine a memory's true strength, generally speaking, the more advanced a creature was, the rarer and more powerful the memory it left behind. That's exactly why something like the Puppeteer's Shroud, armor from an awakened tyrant and therefore a tier 5 memory, was such a priceless item. Please be something amazing, trying not to look like an overexcited child. Sunny forced himself to remain composed. With a carefully neutral tone, he muttered, "Really? That's good." Then Nephice reached out and gently took his hand, completely shattering his calm facade. Her eyes closed as a familiar sensation surged through him. A spark of energy traveled from her to him, just like when he had transferred the Starlight Legion armor to her. Only this time it was in reverse. "You have received a memory, Midnight Shard. Now that is a cool name." He summoned his runes at once, his eyes scanning eagerly for the new memory's details. Memory. Midnight Shard. Memory rank. Awakened. Memory type weapon. Description. Forged from a fragment of a fallen star, this unwavering blade stands firm against adversity. It grants its strength to those who fight with unyielding resolve and harbor no thoughts of surrender. Fascinating. Without a moment's delay, Sunny summoned the Midnight Shard. Instantly, an elegant weapon appeared in his grip. It resembled the Azure Blade only slightly. Both were single-edged and had hilts long enough for 2 hands. But that's where the similarities ended. This new weapon had a longer blade, roughly 70 to 80 centimeters, and a gentle curve to its edge. Its metal shone with the same silvery luster as the Carapace Demon's armor. It looked deadly sharp. The hilt was crafted from sleek black wood, resembling the obsidian-like branches of the ancient tree nearby. The crossguard was rounded and more prominent than that of his old sword, offering enhanced grip and hand protection. There were no unnecessary decorations, no ornate carvings or flashy inlays. It was straightforward, built purely for combat. Its very presence exuded a cold, intimidating energy. As Sunny held the weapon, he sensed something deeper. An unshakable will radiated from the blade. It felt like the sword could absorb brutal impacts without the slightest dent. With this in his grasp, Sunny felt confident. No one would be able to disarm him easily again. Even more intriguing was a subtle, strange sensation that took root in the depths of his soul. It was as though there was a hidden reservoir of power just beyond his reach, one that the Midnight Shard had awakened. He didn't quite understand how to unlock it yet, but he knew it was real. "So, I'll need to earn its favor, huh? I'll have to test some things later." As he admired his new weapon, Sunny turned to Nephice and said with a small grin, "Even I know what kind of sword this is. It's a katana, right?" She took a moment to study the blade and replied, "Technically, it's a tachi. It's longer than a regular katana and has a slightly different curvature. But yes, they're very similar." Tachi sounded fancy enough, and since the principles he had trained in with the Azure Blade were largely transferable to this style of sword, he wouldn't need to start over from scratch. Even though the loss of his echo still stung, Sunny couldn't help but feel his spirits lift. He was quickly growing fond of the Midnight Shard. There was a raw, refined elegance to its design, sharp, simple, and brutally effective. It mirrored Sunny's own nature in a way, a true upgrade. Then, a doubtful thought crept into his mind. He glanced over at Nephice and hesitated before saying, "This is a pretty remarkable weapon. 3rd tier, no less. Are you sure you don't want to keep it for yourself?" After all, she was the one who had delivered the finishing strike to the Carapace Demon. Technically, the memory should be hers, But gods, Sunny desperately hoped she would decline. Nephis simply shook her head. I already have a sword. It suits me. Internally, Sunny let out a huge sigh of relief. Thank the stars, he thought, though now I really want to know. If this blade isn't an upgrade for her, then just what tier is that silver sword of hers? He didn't buy the idea that it was just about fit. She had told him herself that the techniques were similar. If anything, switching to the Midnight Shard and passing her old sword to him would have made more sense, unless doing so would have actually weakened her. That meant her current weapon was more powerful. Once again, Sunny found himself wondering how Nephis had managed to obtain her true name. He had to kill an awakened tyrant for his. Had she done the same, or perhaps something even more astonishing? But he didn't have the energy to go fishing for answers. None of them did. Still wary of the winged creature they'd seen devouring a fallen centurion, possibly returning to scavenge the Carapace demon's corpse, the group quietly relocated to the far end of the island. They hunkered down behind the trunk of the massive tree, far from prying eyes. Only once they were safely hidden from above did they finally give in to exhaustion. Sunny slipped into a deep sleep almost immediately, grateful for the chance to finally rest. But something unusual occurred this time. He dreamed. That's odd, Sunny thought groggily. Dreaming in the dream realm? That's not supposed to happen, right? And then all thoughts vanished.